Hi, people. Welcome back to another video this afternoon. I've got my guy Pete in the house. How you doing, Peter? Oh, Pete.
Nah, not too bad, mate. Not too bad. I love that intro. That intro is class, man. Absolutely class. Love it.
Thank you very much indeed. Well, also, I got that done from last called Shelby, and she's from Italy, sort of thing. She's done that for us, sort of thing. So, they just did it for us, sort of thing. So I asked to do it and pay money for it. So, it's fantastic.
Quality, mate. Good stuff.
Thank you.
How are you, more importantly? How are you? Everything all right?
I'm buzzing, mate. I'm absolutely buzzing from yesterday. I did expect it yesterday. And listen, at this moment in time, I mean, I thought we were excellent yesterday. But hey, there you go. So, guys, if you like the video, please hit the like button. Subscribe if you are new. Also, keep the live chat come through. And follow Pete Davies 2010. And I've got some comments in. If I don't read out all your comments, then I'm sorry I won't be able to get that chance. It's going to be a busy show. But I'll try for these as quick as I can. After John, hope you well, mate. And hi to Pete as well. After to Gary V. And MEFC travelling to Jeddah in Saudi Arabia today for a week-long warm weather training camp following yesterday's win at Ellen Road. Peter, want to come on to that, mate? I mean, it's going to be for a week. What's your take on that?
I don't really care, to be honest. And I mean that from the Saudi Arabian point of view, because there's been a lot of negativity, particularly in the press, about the fact that we're going there for a warm weather camp. From that point of view, I couldn't care less. And from the fact that we're going away for a week, it's not the first time that we've done a trip like this before. So, and I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. I think it's a great way for the likes of Wood and Trippier to bed in even more with the squad and get to know them, get to know players kind of outside of the training ground and outside of playing matches, because that can build relationships just as much as on the pitch. And it gives an opportunity for, especially with a win on our backs, an opportunity for Howe to kind of, really kind of get to grips with his style of play and really kind of, knit it together and build a better mentality. And as well as that, the owners get an opportunity to meet the players, and those type of links start to come together quite nicely. So I think it's a great idea all round. The media are the media. They're always going to try and throw a negative at Newcastle United, but I couldn't care less about that.
I have to agree with you there. I mean, it's a week-long week, so it gives them a break. And I've got absolutely no problems at all whatsoever going to Saudi sort of things. So that's absolutely cool. So that's a good point. Big up, John. That's a great result for Burnley. Not first, not now. Not first, mate. Not at all. Not at all. John should have a shadow of your dance in the background. I can't. Pete's a better dancer than I am, but there you go.
I don't know about that. Maybe after a couple, I give it a go.
It's just stuff, eh? I'm not in your league, bless you. And we just had to talk about yesterday's game. How are the lads for Kafan and Congo? And morning after good thing after John High Pete smiles. Big up to you, mate. Big up to you, Brian. Hope you're okay. And hopefully it's for team bonding. I have to agree there. It sure is. How did two Leeds react to the result yesterday? I had two Leeds fans come on show you on Friday, and they were so confident they're going to beat us, but it never came out quite now, though. I often to come back on, and he won't. I must have jinxed them, Pete. I must have jinxed them yesterday. Newcastle, exactly. Newcastle's going there to promote the club. Good on them. That's from Keith. Big up to you, Keith, and afternoon all. And they must be doing indoor training as they won't do outside training. It's 40 at night. so no chance during the day. So that's what the comments. We talk about yesterday's game. I mean, finished Leeds 0, Newcastle 1, and it was a massive, massive win. And look, I thought the first half an hour or so, I thought we had to weather the storm a wee bit, and Leeds overran us there. And then we grew into the game. And then the second half, I mean, I thought we did well. We determined well. For Fabian Schar was absolutely class. I thought that Kieran Trippier again outstanding for me. And I thought when Sean Longstaff came on, I think he did okay. And yeah, I mean, what's your thought on the game, Pete?
Overriding thought is that just an absolute weight off our shoulders, a relief that we've got the 3 points. You would go back to Watford and in the even before that Man United, where you felt we really deserved the 3 points and should have got the 3 points, and we didn't, but we did today. It was never going to be an easy game. Leeds is a never easy place to travel. John Shelby talked about that in his interview after the game. And the one thing, I talked about this on the Loaded show as well, and I'll say it again today, is that we always expected Leeds to come out and really kind of have a go at us. We always expected that to happen. It was always going to be the case. So we were always going to be under the cosh for some point of the game, and particularly early on. Leeds knew they had to come and get the early goal to really kind of ramp up the pressure on us, and they didn't get it. And the longer we went into the game, still at 0-0, the confidence grew. And they might have had the better of the first part of the first half, but we ended the half better. And in the second half, we were the better team. It's as simple as that. And we could have ended up winning the game 2-3-0 comfortably. And I think if we'd have won 2 or 3-0, I don't think anyone would have had any complaints with that scoreline. And I'm talking about, we had some good chances. Willock, Fraser. I'm not even talking about the penalty. They throw the penalty in there, could have been 4-0 potentially. So just a really, really pleasing performance. Some very good individual performances, which I'm sure we'll get onto in a second. But it's nice for us to see out a game once we're 1-0 up and not have that panic that we've had in previous games. We were strong, we were resolute, we were a proper team in that last sort of 20 minutes. It was really good to see.
Absolutely, I could not disagree with that, Peter. So you talk sense there, I think. You talked about individual players there. You talked about Fabian Schar. I thought he was outstanding yesterday. That is the best I've seen from the Swiss international for a long, long time. I mean, I have been cussing him out a little bit. I'm not gonna lie, but at the minute, what he did yesterday, he came out and he just done the bit. He did bits. He done bits.
He did, and John, you're not the only one to call him out over recent weeks and months. I think everyone has at some point, because defensively we've been absolutely shocking in so many games this season. You'd have been absolutely right to call him out. I've been there too, but you know what? As we always do, John, and I know you're the same as well. We can call players out when they're rubbish, but when they're quality, we're the first ones to praise them and say, you know what, you were class today. And I 100% agree with you, John. I think Fabian Schar was outstanding at the back. He was a leader. He led by example. Positional wise, he was spot on every single time. Whenever the ball came in, he was where it needed to be. There was a fantastic block partway into the second half where he just blocks it with the back end of his heel, and it was going on target as well, so Dubravka would have had to have made a save. And just little things like that, positioning, knowing where to be, organising the defence. He got disrupted when the cells went off, but it didn't change his game. He was still just as good. And there was a few times in that second half in particular, when we're 1-0 up, and sometimes you can get players that will panic. Lascelles does this quite a lot, and he'll just hoof the ball away. And Schar just has the ball, and he does these tricky little jinky moves, and he gets himself out of a massive hole, and he just comes out with the ball, and he's got so much space to play in, and then just plays a really nice pass into midfield, and it just makes the game look easy for a defender, and it's really, really not. So it was really good to see him sort of playing at the level that we've seen him play before under Rafa Benitez, but it was nice to see him do that for us yesterday to get us a big win.
Yeah, absolutely. If he does start to now the end of the season, then get Diego Carlos through, and then we'll probably talk about that very, very soon. Then our defense will be settled. There's a moment in time. I thought also.
I'm just gonna ask you a question actually, because on the subject of Fabian Schar, obviously guys in the chat as well. Fabian Schär's contract's out at the end of the season. You know, would you? I mean, that this performance yesterday aside, would you be offering him a new deal?
Based on that performance yesterday, I would. But after that as well, he's got to do it every single game. And if he does it every single game, then I'll say deal him in, because I think this guy under Eddie Howe, right? I think he's a good player. But I think we're beginning now to see the real Fabian Schär, what he's all about. I mean, was he 31?
I think he's just he's either 29 or just turned 30, so he's still at a decent age.
Yeah, he's still a decent age. Defense could go on for years. I think this guy, he's absolutely, when he's on it, he's absolutely brilliant. Like yesterday, he was absolutely flawless. And in other games, I mean, he's just not been good enough. He just doesn't seem interested, sort of thing. You know what I mean? At times, just doesn't want to be on the pitch. At times, does seem to be bothered. Do you know what I mean? And sometimes can be a bit jumpy when you get players pressing him as well, and he just hasn't got a clue sometimes. But based on yesterday's performance, I would. But we still need another defender, just in case, because we need centre halves as well. We probably need one or two. I'll keep 2 centre halves in, keep Fabian Schär. I'll come to the sales later, sort of thing. But going back to your question, I'll keep him all day long. It could be valuable for our team. And
I couldn't agree more, mate. Couldn't agree more. Even if, I mean, we're looking at potentially two centre backs in this window to come in, but you know, you'd want Fabian Schär as maybe part of the squad if he wasn't going to guarantee getting himself in regularly every week. So, I agree with you, mate.
Yeah. I mean, is he world class? Definitely not. But on this day, for what I've seen of him, I think he's been magnificent. I mean, I could watch that performance all day long. Watch it back again, and it just goes to show that it's been fantastic. I've got some comments there quickly there. Evening, lads. Pete representing Loaded HQ. I love that channel, by the way. It's absolutely cool. Absolutely cool. We win the friendly match in Saudi Arabia. Yeah, that'd be a good game. Neil Siege there. Awesome result. Big turning point. Get new face during the break. Share man of the match by a mile. I eat lads are weird and 0 yesterday. And Burnley result was irrelevant. We need to concentrate ourselves, and if we do that, we make our own luck. Be so confident after that result yesterday. Everton next home game, they're banging trouble in a minute. And wonderful sort of players will come in this week. That'd be a good question, Tom. So on that one, I'm looking forward to that.
It's been an exciting week.
Oh yes, yes. And I've got we signed 2 players in Saudi teams out there. We'll see. How long has Fabian got left on his contract? He's out of contract at the end of the season. We just discussed that. I've got Gary D as well. John, how do you work that one out? Burnley got a point. They did not take all 3. So that is a good result, mate. Well, thing is, right, I mean, Burnley need to get all the points they can. Yes, they got games in hand. I mean, they took a point a day. But listen, at this moment in time, I mean, Burnley are relegations and rivals as well. Had they won the day, it would have put pressure on us, Norwich, and possibly Watford as well. So, yeah. Worked out quite well, mate. Sorry about that. After Schär's performance, would you offer him a new contract, lads? You agree with that, didn't you, Pete?
Yeah, I would. Even if it was to be as a squad player. I haven't always had that thought though. I've always, you know, if you'd have asked me last season, I'd have said sell him in the summer. At times, the attitude's not been there, but you know, with the way that we're playing at the moment, and certainly if he's going to play like he did yesterday. Why not? Why not have him as a 3rd choice, 4th choice centre back, and have him as an option in the team? You know, if he can see that we're going places, which, if and when we stay in the league, we will be going places. Surely he'd want to be a part of that.
I have to agree. Just having as a backup sort of thing. I'm sure he won't mind that. If he believes in our projects, then he wouldn't mind at all. He loves the club. I'm sure he loves the club and the city sort of thing, and he wants to be a part of the project as well. I mean, project I don't normally use, but I have to today. I got Rich as well. Oh, you're on the brandy, Pete. That's according to Richard.
I am.
I can't drink anyway because I don't drink alcohol, by the way. So have a couple on us, mate.
Fair play to you, mate.
Thank you.
Respect that massively.
Thank you very much indeed. I really appreciate that. I haven't drunk for 36 years, so it's what it is. So,
yeah, fair play. It's his personal choice, isn't it? It's a personal choice. To be fair, probably with the amount of YouTube shows that I do, and I've always got a brandy on me. Everyone thinks probably I drink all the time. I actually don't. The only time I actually drink is when I'm on. It's like one of my sort of like ritual. Whenever I'm on a show, I'll have a brandy. Once the show's finished, I don't touch it until the next show. So I don't really, it might seem like it's a constant thing, but it's really not.
Yo, you deserve it, man. You deserve a few after yesterday's swim, my guy. I got Brian, big up to you, Brian, and rumor of a player being revealed in Saudis. Anyone's guess? Because I don't know anything about that.
No, but it's a really interesting point, John, in that, it's been talked about in the media, and as fans have talked about, it's a massive week. We've just said, like, potential massive week for signings, who's going to come in. If they're going to be unveiled, as a Newcastle player, everyone else is in Saudi. They're going to have to fly out there, I imagine, to join up with the rest of the team. Probably do the, the promotional stuff with the shirts and all the rest of it, because all the media team are going to go out there as well. Because I imagine we're going to get videos and interviews whilst they're out there of the team in Saudi. So I imagine that's going to be the case, that that players are going to be unveiled out there, or there's going to be some sort of conversation about it at some point. I've got no doubt.
Yeah, I have to agree, because got to do the medicals as well, sort of thing. So fly out there, sort of thing, join up, and he's our player, sort of thing. But I heard people today saying that this could waste a couple of days for transfer dealings. I don't believe that at all whatsoever, sort of thing. You do dealings anywhere in the world, and do the medicals anywhere as well. So all good and go. So that's a good point there. I got Ginger as well. John, you seen you're trying to bring in Juves this soon. I tell you what, we should be all over this guy. I take this guy all day long. I think he is one of the best midfielders for Brighton and in the Premier League. Would you take him, Pete?
Oh, definitely. He's Basuma, absolutely fantastic centre midfielder. Would I take him? Of course. I think there's that sort of question mark at the moment around his personal life. There's stuff going on with him personally and going through the courts. So I think there's a question mark about that. And naturally, as a club, we would want to know what the deal is with that, because you don't want to be paying, because he's not going to come cheap. If we pay, say 40, 50 million to get him in, and then all of a sudden the case doesn't work out the way we want, and he ends up, in prison, or for whatever reason, something like that happens, we're basically just chucking 40, 50 million down the drain. So I imagine the due diligence of the owners, when kind of working on a deal like that, would be that they would look into all of that before they make a decision on whether they would just put the money down. Is it a question of, is he worth it? Of course he's worth it. He's still a young lad, and he's got lots and lots of growth within his game that he could really develop into a top player. There's no, you look at the reasons why teams like Arsenal and Liverpool are looking at him and been linked with him. There's a reason for that, because he's a quality player. So he would be a great start to how we would build sort of our future, and certainly in the midfield as well. We need it.
Yeah, I think it'd be a fantastic band. Also, as well, I have to agree with you, sort of finished. Nothing goes on in a minute, but we will not say on here. But it's still ongoing. We can't say on live, I'm afraid, until it's all over, sort of thing. So I take 100%, but it depends what the owners want. I got Macy as well, going on channel 6 o'clock tonight. She's a Man U fan. She is absolutely fantastic. Weekly transfer roundup very soon. So I'll be going on the channel. Big up to Macy. Hope you're okay. She's lovely. She is. Great game. Still have a bit of hope. This is from Eric B. I think renewing Schär's contract makes sense if he stay up. He's proven he can do it, and with top quality beside him, he would flourish. If we go down, then I'm afraid I can't see him playing in the Championship.
I think that's why the contract's not been sorted yet, if I'm honest with you, is because I think both the club and Schär are waiting to see if we stay up. I think if we stay up, I think the contract will get signed pretty quickly. If we go down, he will leave on a free and move to another team. I think it's that simple.
Yeah, I have to agree there, sort of thing. So I believe you stay up. I think. I mean, you got Quinny as well. Everton and Villa both at home. I mean, Villa's going to be tough, but Everton, oh my God, they're in serious trouble. I mean, we got to win that game, Pete. We got to.
We do. You're absolutely right, John. And you know what? I think we're hopefully, fingers crossed, we've been given a little bit of a boost because Decore got injured yesterday. He came off injured with quite a bad groin injury. So Everton kind of put an official sort of message out to say that they're doing some work on him. Obviously, it's 2.5 weeks until we play them. Whether he's going to be fit in time, we don't know. But if he's missing, that's a massive plus for us. But you know, even then, you know, I don't think we should have any fear going to play against Everton. They look, as you've quite rightly said, really, really shaky at the moment. And you know, our tails will be up, potentially a few new signings in the door. Who's to say that we can't go and wipe the floor with them at St James's Park?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that'd be a massive blow for Everton. So Corey is a quality midfield, that sort of thing. I do like him. Honest, dear, it's unplayable. And he is so strong for the midfield, makes those runs as well. Passability is fantastic. And I've got a question for you, Pete, from Keith. What made you support Newcastle?
Yeah, I've said this story a few times, really. My first ever time watching Newcastle was purely by chance. My dad was flicking over the TV, and it turned on, and it was the Newcastle 7-1 against Leicester. Obviously, I'm from Leicester myself, so it was on ITV over here. And he flicked it on, and I just remember just watching it. The game had already started a few minutes, and just seeing the absolute blitz. Andy Cole, I think he scored a hat trick that day, and we just absolutely tore Leicester apart. And I was just kind of mesmerised by it. Just watched this game, and I was kind of like to my brother and my dad, like, who's it? Who's this team? And I said it was Newcastle United, and that was it. Just followed Newcastle ever since. It was like just watching them play was how football should be played, and it was great to see. So I just became obsessed, and that was it. My first game watching them, and yeah, the rest is history.
Oh, good for you, man. You chose the right club, by the way. Well done to you. It could have been one of the big clubs there, but hey, listen, you made the right choice there. And we might have some hidden talents in the Saudi League, and that's for I still try to work out his first name, but you just never know. After interviewing me, I've got Jim as well. Welcome to be sure, Jim. Could there be some reveals in Saudi? Either sponsorships and sponsors, players, future news? I hope so. Do you think that could be the case? We don't know that.
No, nobody said for sure, but who's to say that whilst they're out there that they unveil the new kind of sponsorships partnership with the club? Who's to say that that's the case? Could well be. So it'd be really, really interesting what happens over there. Whether it is kind of just a chance to get away and get some sun and a bit of training, or is it that opportunity to either to unveil some players or a new sponsorship? I think it's going to be a really interesting week.
Yeah, it's going to be fantastic sort of thing. So it's so exciting in a minute, but if we can get out of the bottom three and get the news as well, that'd be absolutely amazing. I've got Mitchell as well. Lingard or Dele Alli, or both?
I think it's a great question. Would I take both? Definitely. It's interesting because on the lads, I've got a group with a lot of the Southern Geordie fans based in London, and so we talk about this. We had a bit of a discussion about this today because, a lot of people kind of like turn their nose up at Dele Alli. And yeah, he's not really playing well. He's not really had many games. But I threw out some stats with regards to Dele Alli and Jesse Lingard. And if you don't mind, I'll just share them now if you want.
Go for it.
Okay, so this is not kind of swaying my decision either way. But a lot of the lads that we were chatting to earlier on the chat, they were saying they want Lingard. He's miles better than Ali. He scores more goals. Blah 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 blah. This, that, and the other. So I said, okay, I don't think that's the case, but I'll get the stats out. So Lingard, he's had 252 appearances over a span of 10 years. So 252 appearances. He scored 41 goals and 14 assists, which is not bad. Dele Alli, he's had 155 appearances, so less appearances, spanned over 7 years at Tottenham, so less period of time. He scored 51 goals and got 34 assists. Now, his goals and assists are better in a shorter amount of time, in less amount of seasons. And if we keep in mind the fact that Dele Alli hasn't in the last couple of years played that much football for Tottenham. So even within those 7 years, he's had a couple of years where he's not actually played a lot of football. And the one thing they didn't realise that I mentioned as well is that he's 25 years old. Jesse Lingard's nearly 30, so he's got the best part of 5 years on him. And he's already hit better stats, goals and assists. So for me, I still think there's a player in there with Dele Alli, regardless of what his situation is with Tottenham. And I think he needs a fresh start somewhere else. And I don't think there's anywhere better that he can start regaining his football and playing the best football than at St James's Park for Newcastle United, with our fans, with the expectancy, with the project that we've got on board. Even if it's a loan with a view to buy, I think there's a deal to be done there, and I think he would really, really kind of come into his own. And let's not forget, he was very close to joining us before he signed for Tottenham. We had that £5 million deal with MK Dons agreed and done, and it was sorted. And Tottenham came in last minute and took him away from us. So I do think there's a player there. Of course, I would take both because I do rate Jesse Lingard as well. But if I was to choose one, I'd probably go with Dele Alli, because I think Dele Alli would probably want to play for the club more than Jesse Lingard.
Yeah, I could actually see where it comes from. I mean, at first, I'm flipping and flopping between the two. I take both. But in my opinion, if I had a choice, I'd go with Ali all the way, because, yes, he's younger, number one. Number two, he's got a point to prove. Yeah, young age, he's 25-year-old, and I take him all day long because he's a box-to-box player that we crave at the football club. Someone's going to dictate the game. Someone's going to have good shots as well. You're right, and we was after him as well, all done until Spurs came in for him, sort of thing. So I don't know what happened there, but he chose Spurs over us. It is one of those things. So yeah, I'm with you. I'll take Dele Alli all the way, and I think we might just get him. Who knows? It depends on what Conte wants to do.
Yeah, the interesting news today is that he was left out completely of the squad. The Chelsea-Tottenham game, I think it's just kicking off in a second. He was left out of that squad completely today, which is throwing fresh doubts on his future at Tottenham. And it's looking like he's probably going to move within this next week. So hopefully we do see some movement on that. Fingers crossed.
Absolutely. Fingers crossed. We'll see what happens on that one. I've got tunes out. Any player who's in the UK will be announced in the mornings in UK to coincidence the Saudi time. And they're not a clash with prayer time, which happens 5 times a day. Got Gary as well. Got Saudi Golf being touted as a sponsor. The vice chairman has been appointed to the board of Newcastle today. What's your take on that one?
Yeah, I think look, some of these guys that are linked to the PIF and based in Saudi with various different companies, whether it's sort of Saudi Golf, whether it's Aramco. These are very, very incredibly intelligent and successful business people, and we need those types of minds to come in to help this football club. We also need to mix that and blend that with football knowledge as well. So we do need people in the club that have got that good football knowledge, but that natural business intelligence and football knowledge needs to come together. So a director of football or technical director does need to come in after the window finishes and blend that together to form a really, really good partnership that's going to build this football club. So I'm all for it, but 100%. If it's going to help build the Newcastle brand and the Newcastle project and take us on to a next level, I'm all for it, 100%. What about you, John?
Definitely. We definitely need someone's going to come in, sporting director, technical director, director of football, right? Definitely need someone in just as a good go-middle guy between the owners and the manager sort of thing, yeah? I think they need a bit of help there. I mean, I love the owners, what they're doing, but it'd be great to get someone who's going to come in, knows the football, knows how to do dealings, right? I'll give you an example. Michael Sork for Bishop Dortmund, someone like him, right, will come in and he gives the players who he wants and he goes to work sort of like for them, do you know what I mean? But definitely get a sporting director or director of football coming in the club, and then that'll be sorted.
Definitely. I think that's definitely the next move, and I think you'll see us really kind of kick on at that point. So again, exciting times.
Can't wait. And I've got John here as well. That deadline day is going to be mental this year. There's going to be people doing the streams and that as well. Loads of them. Got Rich here again. John, ask Pete how's Pete? How do you know about League One knowledge? How your fantastic League One knowledge?
I thought Rich might ask that question. Look, every Thursday we do the fully loaded transfer show on Loaded HQ, and as part of that, we have a section where Lee Davey comes on to give us some information on what he's hearing over in France. So Lee Davies, a Eurosport and Ligue 1 journalist, and he obviously from over in France has a lot of knowledge on French players. So Ekitike, for example, we've been linked with, and a number of French base players, Sven Botman as well. We've been linked with a lot of French players, so he's been giving us kind of that background knowledge. And it was asked sort of how I knew Lee, and Lee's my older brother. He's my older brother, but he's obviously a journalist. Does some bits for Eurosport. He's been working on the African Cup of Nations more recently, and he'll be reporting on the game tonight. If anyone's watching it, PSG versus Rennes, who have Ekitike in their team, so he'll be playing hopefully if he's selected against PSG tonight. So that'll be a game to look out for as a potential signing that will be coming in. So I thought Rich might ask that question, but he's got Lee Davies got great knowledge. He'll be back on the show next week, so next Thursday, if people want to tune in.
Yeah, that's a brilliant one. That's fantastic. I mean, I need to keep an eye open on that as well. And is there any foreign attacking midfielders you guys would take apart from Ericsson? He's going to Brentford.
Yeah, I think it's a good deal for Brentford. Foreign. There's a number. There's a number. It depends on how much money we're willing to spend. I've said this, privately. There's one player that I think Newcastle, with the finances that we've got, could really take a punt on as an attacking midfielder.
Yeah.
And he plays for Real Madrid currently, and he's called Isco. He's only got 6 months left on his contract. He's not playing every week for Real Madrid. He barely gets any minutes. Real Madrid want him off the wage bill, basically, and he's on the transfer list, effectively. Mm-hmm. And I think if we were to sell the project to him, I think he'd be an outstanding addition. Obviously, it would cost a bit, and he'd be on a relatively high wage because look, let's face it, although he's not getting in the Real Madrid, he's still a very talented player. So if we had the money and we were really pushing the boat out for a statement signing, he'd be one I'd be looking for. There's no doubt about it. But going back to France, there's a couple of players. There's Favre and Ludovic Blas, attacking midfielder at Nantes. Favre is an attacking midfielder. A little bit, he plays very similar. If you've ever seen him, go and check his clips out. He plays just like Hatem Ben Arfa. He was very close to going to AC Milan in the summer. They really, really like him, and I know you like your Italian football.
I do.
He was very close to going to AC Milan. They're still very interested in him. He plays for a team called Brest, he'd be a very, very good addition to our team. And you know what? These guys wouldn't cost a hell of a lot of money at this stage either if we went and bought them. So there's just, Isco, you got Ludovic Blas, and you got Favre as well at Brest. They're three players just off the top of my head that I think would be very good attacking midfield additions, as well as the other options as well as Dele Alli and Jesse Lingard.
Yeah, I think those names you mentioned. I've never heard of Ludovic Blas. I've never ever heard of this guy, but I heard some bits of this guy. So if I had to look on YouTube myself, and Isco, he's a decent player when he's not injured, in my opinion. But listen, if we get him, even for 6 months to go after the wage bill, he can make a difference between questions of, and everyone's going to look up to him as well because he's a world class player. His passing ability, his shooting ability, his dead ball ability. I think the guy is absolutely fantastic. He really is. But with the richest club in the world, the question is, My worry is that it's the league position we're in at the minute. Are they going to come to Newcastle because of our league position? Because I heard a lot of people, Pete, come to us and say it's like Donny van de Beek, right, or Donny van de Bench, because that's what he's happy with, right? And he don't want to come. Nancy don't want to come. Others don't want to come to Newcastle because of the league position sort of thing. But it's very worrying at the minute. I mean, I don't know what you make of it. I mean, why do you not want to come because of that reason?
Yeah, I think you know, on Van der Beek or Van der Bench, as you rightly called it, because he isn't playing at the moment. I actually think you're right. I asked myself, well, why wouldn't you want to come and play football rather than just sit on the bench at Man United, which he's going to do for the rest of the season? If you value your career, why not go and play football at Newcastle United? A huge stadium, a huge fan base. Yes, we're not in the position where we're fighting for Europe at this stage right now, but you're in a theatre where you can still play at a really good standard and play regular football. You know, he wants to go to the World Cup. And what better way of showing that by playing football in the Premier League, showing your ability week in, week out, rather than 2 or 3 minutes, if you're lucky, coming off the bench. I think it's a really poor decision. And that would be the question that I would kind of, you know, when I talked about Isco earlier, I'd be asking the same thing. You know, you want to get back into playing for Spain. You want to go back in playing regular football for them. You know, why don't you come and play for Newcastle? Be the main man. No, you're going to play every week. Get the team basically created around you so you can really showcase your abilities. He's still 28 years old. He's still a young lad, Isco, and he's still supremely talented. That's the kind of questions I'd be asking to, you know, Van der Beek and Isco and even the likes of Jesse Lingard. If he doesn't come, he'll be sitting on the bench for Man U for 6 months. You know, why would you want to do that at 29 years old? It doesn't make sense to me. As a lad, as a guy who used to play football, you know, and played at decent levels, like, that's the one thing that I would always say is that why would you want to just sit on the bench just because you're with a team that might win a trophy? You don't really have a say or have any influence in that winning of the trophy, because all you're doing really is sitting on the bench. You might get a winner's medal, but you don't really earn it because you've not actually played to deserve that trophy. And you get some players that are really adamant that I don't want the medal because I didn't earn it. Like, some of these players just want to stay for the sake of it, and I just think, if that was me, I would rather go, even on a loan for 6 months, and just go and play football and come and show my ability week in, week out, and then come back. Because if you have a good 6 months, you keep Newcastle in the league. We're in a position to build a team around you if you want to stay. Or you're going to go to another team that are a top European team that are going to invest in you because they've seen that you've still got that ability, because there's question marks there around certain players like Van der Beek, like Lingard, like Isco. Are they still capable of performing at that level because they're just sitting on the bench? I know. What do you think?
I agree with you. I'd rather go out and play football, and it's World Cup year as well, by the way, at the end of the year, right? You don't want to be sitting on the bench. I'm going to say, right, look, listen, I want to play football. That's a profession, right? I'm not chasing the money. I play football, and the money comes and follow you, sort of thing. You know what I mean? You got to get paid no matter what. Yeah. So I go out there, like you just said, show your ability, right? And then if you keep yourselves up, then we may keep you on and build a team around you, and then you pay you the money that you deserve. Do you know what I mean? Like Joe Willock, for example, he scored 8 goals in 14 games, right? And then he went, and a lot of people saying that he played for an Arsenal contract. I think he did. Arteta wasn't having none of it, and he said, "Yo, you're going to Newcastle, mate," and that's exactly what he did. But to be fair to Willock, I thought he had a good game yesterday. I thought he played well yesterday, second half, and it's just starting to show that Joe Willock is back. And if we get the Joe Willock back from last season, then we'll stay up, because his scores is going to be very, very vital to keep ourselves up. And I like Joe Willock, but he has been great this season. I got Leon here. I said, John, I'm not going to read it out, but I can see your comments, but I'm not going to bring it up, sort of thing. It's not rude, but that's for the Horseman show for another day. And Newcastle fans like, this girl, I'll go off my nut. So underrated. It's actually unbelievable. Can you imagine that? Into Newcastle, that was shot the footballing world. I'm telling you.
I agree with Eric. He's massively underrated. Big player. He's, you know, for the last couple of years, he's barely kicked a ball at Real Madrid, and he's kind of gone by the wayside. But he's still a supremely talented, creative, attacking midfielder. He would just completely revamp the way our team looks right now. Like it'd be crazy. It would cost a little bit in terms of wages, and maybe maybe a 20 million fee, something like that. We'd probably have to pay, but we get 4 years out of him. It'd be worth it.
Absolutely. He could be a legend at this place. I'm telling you, he'd be a legend. And I think this guy is going to paint Newcastle on Spanish flags if he keeps it, sort of thing. Who cares? And I've got John. So Newcastle stay up and seriously ambitious for the future of the club. Go by Kessie for Milan in summer. I like Kessie. I think he's a decent player. Like he's a midfield dynamo. That would be clearly what I wanted. And I think, in my opinion, he probably signed a new contract here in Milan. That's what I'm hearing, but I could be wrong. But you might fancy the Premier League. Conte fancy him as well, by the way.
I was going to say, linked with Tottenham, wasn't he?
He was.
When we were meant to get the takeover in 2020 around the April-May time. I was asked then like who, because we had all these like Mbappe, Messi's, all these other stupid teams that the Sun and other places were putting together. It was all media driven. The one player I said as a midfielder was Frank Kessie, because he's just an absolute monster in that midfield, box to box, big, strong, can nick a goal as well. It'd be a terrific signing, but I just think we might just miss the boat on him, because like you said, he'll either sign a new deal or he'll go to a team that are playing European football. So it'd be a shame.
It's a shame, but I do love Frank. I think he's a decent player, by the way. The perfect midfielder we need at a football club, and unfortunately, I just can't see us getting him anytime soon. And it's all speculation. We'll have to wait and see. Hopefully, there's a positive bounce from yesterday, and there's good news on transfers and sponsors. Common sponsor transfer in a bit, so we take 5 all day. Don't know a lot about him, but I find out Gareth Southgate at the Leeds match yesterday. Yeah, probably looking at Leeds players, not Newcastle players, by the way. And hey, guys, are we doing well? That's Foxy from Colombia. Great guy. Big up to Scott as well. Thanks so much indeed. And if everyone likes and subscribe to the channel, great results to use yesterday. He's a big Leicester City fan, and he is a top guy. Goes from Leicester to our Diet channel of Chris. He is fantastic. And despite not being 34, I'd take Matuidi on a fee until the end of the season. We are struggling to make signs in the window. We don't have a Toyota-type midfielders in the squad. I still think he can do bits. He's in the MLS now. I was shocked when he went to the MLS. Shocked. And he's played for UB.
Top player, Blas Matuidi. Again, another player that we should have signed that ended up going elsewhere when he was in his pomp. I think he was at San Etienne when he ended up moving on to PSG. We were heavily linked with him, and we wanted him. So yeah, another one that we missed the boat on, unfortunately, earlier on in his career.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just I would love to have Matuidi in his heyday. Brilliant player. Long term, would love us to take is Vilmar Barrios from Senate. He used to play for Boca Juniors as well. I tell you, he'd be fantastic. 28-year-old Colombian as well. And John, you've got to remember, what's director of football is not a lot of managers want them because they build a team, not the manager. They set style and type of players that owners want. Managers just picks positions. I mean, a lot of people are saying now these managers, especially British managers, Pete, they do not want director of football because it just causes problems. Look what happened to Kevin Keegan.
It's a great point. The one thing I'll say about that is that if anyone's listened to Eddie Howe's press conferences, in particular the one on Friday, he's actually openly talked about wanting a director of football. He's actually happy to work with one. I think he mentioned it in and around Christmas time, and he mentioned it again on Friday. He's the one manager that would actually want to work with a director of football. I think he's expecting to. So I don't think that'll be a problem for us, if I'm honest.
No, I totally agree. I mean, Eddie Howe wouldn't mind that at all, I'm sure. But got Rich as well, Van the Bench, and not Van the Beek, Van the Bench. Just to stay at bench in United is stupid. You're only taking a loan. Get minutes under your belt, shows us what you can do, and possibly earn a decent move away. But sitting on the bench and turn down Newcastle ain't going to help you anytime soon in your future career. They just want to get the £200,000 a week bank in the deposit in their bank account, and that's all they care about, money. Players don't want a relegation on the CV. Fair enough. And
We're not getting relegated. We're not getting relegated. So you
I
won't have
can't
to
see it
worry
now.
about that.
Nah, can't see it now. Based on that result yesterday, I can't see it. Don't want any player that said you don't want to play for us, then suddenly changes his mind. That's the change your mind. It's money. They're not going to play for that team. That's very true. I've got Basler and Billy, and he wants a release clause, but we don't want to add one. That's the problem. We're going to have any deals. And I think some of these players just want labels that you're playing for Champions League club is all they want in the brands. And add deals, other business ventures. Yeah, I have to agree on that one. Go back to midfield. I'll talk about John Shelby. I mean, he had a wonderful game yesterday. He scored a free kick yesterday. It was a good goal. And I thought he played excellent yesterday.
Yeah. He was terrific. I actually named him as my man of the match yesterday. Obviously, Fabian Schär was fantastic too. But John Shelby, I think the reason why I said he was our man of the match is not because of the goal. Obviously, he scored the free kick, the winning goal. But there were things that I noticed from John Shelby that he did yesterday that he's been called out for in the last year or so. And I'll go back to the first half. So in the first half, when we were under the cosh, and Leeds were attacking us left, right, and centre. There was time and time again where he was getting exposed in that midfield because Joe Linton and Joe Willock were making runs forward and not getting back. So it was basically he was that midfield on his own. And what he was having to do is not only man that middle part of the midfield, but he was covering down the right-hand side to help out Trippier. He was covering down the left-hand side to help out Dummett if Maxi wasn't getting back. And he was everywhere, covering ground. He was in the right positions at the right time, but he wasn't just kind of lazily jogging around the pitch. He was sprinting. He was getting stuck in. These little short, sharp runs to get in the right position, to be in the right place. And I looked at him in the first half and thought, like, he's bang up for this today. Like he is. He looks thinner. He looks genuinely thinner. So he looks like he's working on his fitness and his shape. And he just looked fitter in terms of his running, getting around the pitch. And I've not seen that from John Shelby for a long time. I've not seen that. And that for me epitomised his performance, that he was willing to do the bits that he doesn't necessarily like to do as a midfielder. And he did that for 90 minutes. And obviously the goal just put the cherry on top. The fact that we won the game and he scored the goal for that. So a fantastic performance. But we need that from him every week. And if we could get a midfielder or two that could come in and sit alongside him to do a similar job, that midfield would quickly be a midfield that would be very hard to break down.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he's getting better now, Shelby. Not my fan, but listen, I said earlier, I praise a player when he deliver, and he delivered yesterday. What a player he was yesterday. And it was just great watching him. And I love to sign Kostic, who do a job of left wing back with Trippier opposite. Dream signing for me anyways. He plays for Eintracht Frankfurt. I mean, he could have gone to Lazio, and they messed the paperwork up, sort of, and that's why that move did not materialise. And was Willock playing like a more full role? And yeah, I want to talk about Chris Wood, right? I mean, I thought he did okay yesterday. I mean, he won everything in the air. I mean, £25 million he cost us. Was you shocked when we signed him?
No, I have to be honest. Wasn't shocked because I expected us to sign that type of striker. We sometimes forget that we've been, certainly in the last 12 weeks, we forget that we've been living in a Mike Ashley owned Newcastle like little bubble for the last 14 years. Whereas like he will only sign one striker and will only have one striker that does one type of, or has one type of quality, and that's it. If we want to go places as a team, we need 3 or 4 strikers, but we also need 3 or 4 strikers that offer something different. So we know that Chris Wood is a back to goal hold up, big and strong, good in the air. Like he's that sort of like that type of bully, a little bit like Solomon Rondon was for us. But I wasn't surprised that we needed a striker before the game at Watford, so I wasn't surprised that we went and just paid the money to get him in. He he will affect games for us between now and the end of the season, and he will score goals for us. There are certain games that will fit to him perfectly. He probably could do with a strike partner at this moment in time to play alongside him to get the best out of him. But more so and more importantly, he needs to be fed the ball on a regular basis. He's really good at holding up the ball, but he needs the ball fed into his feet, into his chest. He needs the right crosses into the box. It was better yesterday.
Yeah.
Watford wasn't good because he was isolated massively. He was given more of the ball yesterday, and he played well yesterday. I thought, but I think there's a lot more to come from him, and I think he's going to have some big moments as this season drags on.
I totally agree. I mean, I thought, well, the first time I thought I wasn't too sure, but I'm going to back this guy, and we're going to back the guy because he's my player. And I hope Chris Wood does the business. And, if he scores, I think you get many, many more. But we definitely need another striker alongside him, by the way. I would have gone for Duvan Zapata from Atalanta. That guy is brilliant. Love that.
And I know you know about him as well, John.
I love this guy.
Italian football, so I know that you follow him massively. And I talked about him. I talked about him a while back. I think it was before Christmas. And I said, if we're going to go out and get anyone, it has to be someone like Zapata, and I'm really, really hoping that we pull that deal off. A lot of people have been talking about that he was maybe third or fourth on our list in terms of striking options that we want to get hold of. I don't care, because if he's third and fourth on our list, that's still a fantastic signing, and he will again. He offers something different. So for me, he's kind of if we signed Duvan Zapata, we've got Wilson, Zapata, and Woods, and you've basically in Zapata you've got half of what Woods does and half of what Wilson does. You've basically got the whole package in that one striker there, because he is he can do everything that Wilson can do, and he can do everything that Woods can do, and you've got that all in one player, and you've got three alternative options there of strikers that can offer you something within a game. For me, that's a real top three. A top three choice strikers. If you look at the strikers across the board, if we had those three in, and you look across the Premier League, other than the top six, I don't think there'd be many striking options that would be better than what we had there with Chris Wood, Callum Wilson, and Duvan Zapata. I just hope we get that deal done. I really do.
Absolutely. I mean, I love Zapata. I think he's absolutely 6'2". Wow, this guy's going to be absolutely a bar at him. And talking to Wendy as well, I love Wendy the bits, man. She saw some of my channel. Hi, John. Fab Sunday. Still buzzing off the fantastic result yesterday. Is it true that Zapata was over the line? My opinion is on that one, Wendy, right? I think it's going to happen if they get a replacement, and that place is going to be Bellotti from Torino, Andrea Bellotti, after him as well. So if that comes through, then this deal could very well happen very soon. That's what I've heard a couple of years ago, that after Bellotti, he's out of contract at the end of the summer from Torino, and I think he wants some money for that one as well. Whether they sell him on to Atlanta, that's another thing. But that's one I need to keep an eye out on that one as well. So, and we're going to go through the play ratings in a minute, because I know you're busy, like sort of thing. But do you think Eddie Howe got his tactics right yesterday? 4-3-3, jocked Sean Longstaff, bottom Joe.
Spot on. I thought his tactics were spot on, and actually the way he set up his team yesterday, it actually reminded me of a lot of formations that he set up, a lot of similar games that he set up in the same way away from home when manager of Bournemouth. So I go back to, there was the very sort of well-known video before Eddie Howe came in as manager, where it was on YouTube, where he talked about how he kind of, how he defeated Chelsea at home in one of his fixtures whilst manager of Bournemouth, and basically he set his team up yesterday in pretty much the same way in which he set up that team on that day. And it's the 4-3-3 in the way in which it works. Someone mentioned on the comments that was Willock more of an attacking midfielder pushing forward. I 100% believe that he was. He was told to be that guy, to drive forward, get himself into the box, try and cause havoc, and he did that, to be fair, for long parts of the game. Tactics were spot on. and he really nullified Leeds' threats, particularly as the game went on after the sort of the first 20 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he had a spot on yesterday, Eddie Howe. I do like it. He's my manager sort of thing, and I don't care what anyone say. I mean, and I got Rich as well. What's your lads' thoughts on Man City supposed to agree to deal with Julian Alvarez at River Plate? £70 million. How come they're not getting bent over backwards for this ridiculous transfer fee? I mean, apparently that time he wanted to play for Champions League clubs only. And I don't know about this guy, but...
Yeah, we were linked with him. We were linked with him about 2 or 3 weeks ago. Julian Alvarez. He was close to earlier on in the window going to Man United. The reason why it's 70 million, Rich and John as well, is because that's his release clause. His release clause for River Plate is 70 million, so that's why the deal's so cheap. He's a terrific striker, young striker. He's one of those, I think they call it on Football Manager, the wonder kid. He's one of those wonder kids of the future, and I think he's going to really sort of he's really going to flourish in that Man City mould. He is exactly the type of player that they wanted to come in and replace Sergio Aguero. So it's going to be interesting to see how his career develops.
Yeah, absolutely. What a player he is as well, apparently, by all accounts, scoring goals, and he's a top player. I've got Rich as well again. Vjanovic not in the Fiorentina squad today, lads. Richard, Vjanovic, forget about him coming to Newcastle United. That ain't going to happen anytime soon. I can tell that right away. I think there's two ways you can go about that. Number one, he probably see the end of the season, right? And probably pick a club of his choice, number one. Number two, he can go to Arsenal now, but he want to know which match he's going to play for. That's number one. Secondly, he'll only want to play in the Champions League. And this guy is an absolute baller. First 2 seasons is better than did score a lot of goals, but last season and this season, this guy's been on fire.
He's one of the top strikers in European football. It's that simple. And me and Rich, we've talked about Vlahovic a number of times as a potential option, but I think it's very clear in this window that we're not even in the running for him, because I just think he's too good. It's been interesting. He's been with regards to Rich's question about the him not being in the squad. From what I've heard, Fiorentina have said it's COVID related. There's him and another player that apparently are not in the squad because they've tested positive. Whether that's been confirmed or not, I don't know. But there's a lot of links as well. And I don't know if you know about this, John, that he's been linked to Juventus, and that they seem to be the likely team that are going to pick him up. And to be honest, that seems more likely of a deal to be done, because Max Allegri is clearly building a new team at Juventus, and he's frustrated with the players that he's got. They're very midfield heavy. They've had they had 6 or 7 midfielders that all did the same job within that squad of players. Ramsey, one of them. McKennie is another one. Rabiot, and there's a few others. Bentancur is another one who's been linked with Villa. That's 4 already that all pretty much do the same job. He's just got such an unbalanced team, but they're missing that focal point striker. Morata's going to move on at some point, and I think Allegri's probably targeted Vlahovic to be that main man that's going to take Juventus forward. So that seems more likely the deal, if I'm honest with you. And to be fair, I'd much rather him go Juventus than come into the Premier League to another club, because if he's coming to the Premier League, I only want him to come to Newcastle.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'd love to see that guy in a number 9 shirt. That'd be the future player sort of thing. But I said a couple of weeks ago, if he's going to leave, he'll go to Juve. I kind of see him come to the Premier League. I said weeks ago, if people want to rewind that, I said Juve all the way. And on to your question, mate, that'll be next Sunday. Times to be arranged. Real Madrid getting beat by Elche by 2-0. I've got Stu, afternoon to you and Pete. So glad the lads got a win today. Hopefully we can just kick on from now on and get ourselves out of the mess our disasters former owner Mike Ashley's put in. I'm going to fly for this because it's got loads to talk about. Player in Seattle Corn. We're going to talk about and take over your opinions on that. Ashley as well. Go out to Foxy. It's about to only be third for his option due to his age of 31, but he's in his prime right now. But would do great for us over the next 2 years at least. I mean, probably going to 2.5 year deal. And yeah, I was going to go for the player ratings, right? And quickly, and you're pretty good at this anyway, so I'm not going to say anything. But go with Dubravka. How many marks out of 10 do you give him?
I would give Dubravka an 8, or say an 8.5. That save in the first half, wow! Like what a save from Dan James! Just instinctive, massive save that kept us in the game. And after that, he didn't really have a lot to do. But the moments that he was called upon, he was absolutely spot on. So the big save in the first half, and then there was a couple of collections that he made midway through the second half. But then in particular, towards the end of the game, when Leeds were running out of ideas and they would just kind of whip balls into the box, really kind of like hit and hope and hoping it would fall to a Leeds player, Dubravka was just coming out and collecting it on his penalty spot, going to ground, wasting a bit of time, and it just gave the defence so much confidence. Just everyone just relaxed, and it, like as a player and as a defender, and our defenders as well that panic quite a lot. If you've got a keeper that does that and takes all that pressure off you, it don't half make you feel better, and it made me feel better as a fan watching the game, like literally biting my nails. So he didn't have massive moments to be called upon in the game, but when he was, I thought he was fantastic. So yeah, I'd say let's say 8.5.
Okay, you're doing the player ratings, but that's a fair shout. I'm going to go on to the right back, Kieran Trippier.
Kieran Trippier, 9 for me. Kieran Trippier, outstanding yesterday, absolutely outstanding. Their main threats were Rafinha on one side and Harrison on the other. Harrison even barely got a kick in that game, and you rightly said quite earlier on in the show, John, that when someone put on the chat about Gareth Southgate coming to watch, is he coming to watch any of our players? Probably coming to watch Jack Harrison, and in that game, he did not get a kick whatsoever because Trippier was outstanding. And if Gareth Southgate needed any indication on who he needed to pick as his right back for the next England squad, okay, he's got his example there in that performance, because Trippier showed yesterday that he should still be the number one consideration for England at right back. Nothing less than a 9 for me. Outstanding a leader and a captain's performance.
Yeah, I agree with you. That sort of thing. That's good rating there. On the other side, Dummett.
I thought Dummett played well. I'll give Dummett an 8. You know what? He was under the cosh a lot in the first half, and it was because he wasn't getting the support that Trippier was getting on that side of the pitch, because St. Maxim wasn't getting back into position. So at times, Dummett was playing against two men, Rafinha, and then there'd be like Dan James that would like drift over into that position, and it'd be like a 2-on-1. It was a really, really difficult moment in that first half, but he came through it. He defended really well. He was unlucky to get injured, but I thought he would put in a really, really good performance, considering he'd not played for so long. He's got a knack of coming in and just acting like he's never been away with his performances. But yeah, definitely an 8 for me.
Yeah, fair enough. On to the central defence, Lascelles.
Lascelles, I would say, gets a 7.5. I thought Lascelles played well. I thought he marshalled well. He was getting pulled a little bit here and all over the place in that early 20-minute spell, but they were putting a lot of pressure on us. But he rode the wave. He defended well. I thought he was better in the second half before his injury. I thought he defended better and organised the team better. But 7.5 for me.
7.5 for Lascelles. I think he's going to be man of the match anyway. But go on, Fabian Schär.
Yeah, Fabian Schär. Let's go with a 9.5. Why not? He was a proper leader alongside Trippier. Some of his last gas challenges, some of his clearances at times when under pressure, his elegance on the ball in tough, tight spots, particularly during the second half, just gave a lot of calm to the defence and took the pressure off us. just a proper defensive performance. He had the whole package. Fair play to him.
Yeah, brilliant. He deserves that, by the way. Man of the match, star man. We're on to midfield. I'm going with Joe Linton.
Joe Linton obviously got injured early on. I'd probably say a 7. He was still doing what Joe Linton's been doing recently. He was pushing the ball forward. He was, ruffling feathers. He was nicking the ball high up on the pitch. He did that a couple of times in the first half that really put pressure on Leeds and pushed them back because he was pressing high, winning the ball, creating attacks. Obviously, you could tell he was struggling when he tweaked his groin injury. But yeah, I would give him a 7 for his performance.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, end of the day, I think he's outstanding this season. Since Eddie Howe came into the club, this guy it's like me watching his sign a player that played 30 caps for the Brazilian national team. He is that good. Yeah, Casemiro is not, but I tell you what, I wouldn't mind having a backup.
Yeah, he's learning a new position all over again. Like he's kind of starting from the beginning, but he's already better than a number of players that we've got in that centre midfield. If you asked, if I asked you who would you rather have, Joe Linton or Jeff Hendricks, who would you have?
It's only one answer to that one, mate. It's one answer to that. Yeah, that's going to be the Brazilian, the most sought after Brazilian. I think he's going to be great, him sort of thing. But he could be key for us in the future in our new Newcastle in the summer. And we've got Joe Linton. I'm going to go with Joe Willock.
Joe Willock, I will say 7.5 for Joe Willock. He had a real difficult first half. It was kind of a sort of the tale of two halves, really, with Joe Willock. He wasn't great in the first half at all. I thought he was actually letting the team down in front of goal when they had decent opportunities. He wasn't using the ball right. But in the second half, he was really stretching the Leeds defence. He was creating attacks. He was joining in attacks. He was driving forward with the ball. Everything that we know that Joe Willock's capable of, and what we saw at the back end of last season, we started to see glimpses of that. Still lots more to come from him, but it was a much better performance than what we've seen recently. So 7.5 for me.
That sounds about right for me. So I'll give him a 7 personally, but I'm not doing the player ratings. But Jonjo Shelby.
Jonjo Shelby, for me, he gets a 9 alongside Trippier. Jonjo Shelby, as I talked about earlier, he was everywhere, particularly in that first half. He did the hard graft. He really put the miles in that first half to cover his defenders and his fullbacks. And then the second half, still doing the same, but came up with the big moment that won us the game with the free kick. He led by example. He had the captain's armband when Lascelles went off, and he really did lead by example again. A 9 for me without doubt.
Yeah, I think that's a fair shout there. I think he's been brilliant yesterday. Jonjo really played it well. At the front three, I'm going to go with Ryan Fraser.
Ryan Fraser. So I would give Ryan Fraser an 8. The protection that he offered for Kieran Trippier down that right hand side was fantastic. He ran himself into the ground. You could argue that some of his final balls, not his final ball, but maybe in front of goal, he wasn't great. He had a couple of chances that he didn't really take very well, but he put a fantastic ball in for Wood, who just missed the ball in the second half, where if he'd have got a good touch on it, it would have been right in goal for a finish. But it's that work rate, and it's that willingness to do work for the team that we weren't seeing from him last season. I'd love to know the amount of distance that he covered in the game, and he did it in the last 10 minutes whilst carrying an injury. And I just loved, and lots of people have talked about it on social media. I just loved, he's barely able to walk, but he was still hobbling, stroke running at the same time to get back into position, to hold his position, to help the team out. Just a proper character he showed yesterday. So for that alone, definitely gets an 8 for me.
Yeah, I'll go on over that as well. I thought he worked really hard yesterday. And I'll get into like Ryan Fraser more and more now. I think this guy's absolutely fantastic, and his work rate is 10 out of 10 alone. Go with ASM.
ASM, I would give him an 8. He was a constant threat throughout the game. And that's not something we can always say about ASM, because he has moments for it in most games where he's a threat for 10 or 15 minutes, then he disappears, then he comes back into it. For 90 minutes, ASM was a constant threat. Yes, we can argue about his final ball sometimes, or his final pass isn't what it should be, but he constantly made the Leeds defence scared whenever he got the ball. They did not know what to do with him whatsoever. And he was unlucky. Not only was he unlucky not to get a penalty, he was unlucky that he created like 4 or 5 great chances in the game, penalty aside. Two of which were late on in the game. And he played one in for Ryan Fraser, who should have scored, and he put it wide. It was a poor effort. There was another one later on with Joe Willock. Joe Willock gets his shot away, but the keeper saves it. Joe Willock arguably should have done better with that.
Yeah,
he could have had 2-3 assists on his name, and he could have had won a penalty, which he probably would have took, and maybe got himself a goal. And you look at that and you think, that could have potentially been a 10 out of 10 performance, but for me, I'll give him an 8, just because I thought he was very, very good for the whole game, which we can't always say about ASM.
Fantastic. I think he passed the ball as well, part of it as well, when it needs to be as well. So he's learning fast, but he's key. He's absolutely key. We've got Chris Wood.
Chris Wood, again, I'd give a 7.5. He was a real menace in the first half, particularly that last 15 before half time, where the balls were dropping into the sort of the penalty spot, and he was getting in and amongst things. And it was unlucky. I think there was one where he got pulled up for a free kick where he kind of turned on the ball and shot. The keeper saved it. And I don't think he did anything wrong personally. I thought he was just using his body to hold off the defender, but the ref gave a free kick. There was a couple of other times where he was holding up the ball in the area, and really working hard. He gets isolated in games, but that's not his fault. That's because we don't feed him enough. But I think he's always in the right position. He's always offering and showing for the ball. And I think it's going to take time for the team to get used to the way in which he plays. But yeah, 7.5 for me. I thought he played well, but still lots to improve on.
Yeah, fair enough. We're going to move on to the subs there. And the first came on Sean Longstaff came on first for Joel Linton.
Yeah, correct. Sean Longstaff, I thought he was fantastic. I'd give him anywhere between the 7.5 and an 8. I thought he was very, very good when he came on. The way in which he transitioned the ball, his work rate, his ability to cover areas, a little bit like what John Joe Shelby was doing in the first half, covering down the left and the right, really kind of adding to that protection in sort of defensive areas was very, very good. And the one thing that we can't always say about Sean Longstaff is his use of the ball, finding the right players at the right time. He was doing that yesterday, and it doesn't half make a difference when he's finding a player rather than just giving the ball away constantly. So much better performance. Let's go with a 7.5. A much better performance from him.
Fair enough, but yeah, sounds about right. And he did well, and I hope he keeps on performing every single week now, because he hasn't been great. And I want him to come back to play like he was and see what happens on that one. Javier Mccree.
Manquillo, 8.5 for me. He came into a difficult position. He's not a left back, although he fills in there. He came on for Dummett, and he just instantly shut down Rafinha. Like, Rafinha was not in the game. Rafinha is a supremely talented right winger, and he just come in and just Rafinha barely got a touch in the game at that point, winning everything, making it difficult for him to get in and behind. But then equally, and obviously he played a big part because he won the free kick in which Shelby scored. Even when he gets the ball, he's not worried about, oh, is Rafinha going to get behind me if I lose the ball? He's driving forward. You know, it's very rare that Manquillo comes in and does a bad job for the team. He doesn't always start. He doesn't always play. But whenever he comes in, I don't ever remember a time where he's come in and played awful or played really bad. He's one of those where, you know, when we talk about certain players that are like, you know, they never get below a 7 or a 7.5. They'll always do a good job for you no matter what. He reminds me of that type of player, Manquillo. And again, he was fantastic against Rafinha. And yeah, it was a great sub to bring him on, because we could have quite easily brought on Jamal Lewis. And I think there were question marks about why we didn't, but Manquillo's proven why he was the right sub to be made at that time.
Yeah, I thought Mccree came on, and I thought he did a wonderful job of Rafinha, like you said, and not only dumped him that on his backside, you know, he absolutely pocketed him. Right? And then, you know, and basically that he absolutely bossed him. Rafinha didn't know what to do at times. He didn't. And look, I think Manquillo should be playing a left back all the time, in my opinion, because he can save us millions and millions of pounds there. And he's just so underrated, Manquillo. He's not someone fancy. He's not world class, but he's just obviously a good player. And that's about it, sort of thing. You know what I mean? Just a good standard player. And I got high hopes in this guy. And so you're going to give 7.8 out of 10?
Yeah, 8. Give him an 8.
I'm happy with that. I'm happy with that. So it's 8 out of 10. That's the subs. Who else came on? Kieran Clark, when it came on as well.
Yeah, I'll give Kieran Clark 7.5. I thought he came on in a difficult situation where, you know, Lascelles just come off with an injury. I've got to be honest, I was really nervous, and I don't know what guys in the chat or what you felt when Clark come on, because obviously his last game before that was the horror show against Man City where he gifted that goal early on at St James's Park. So I was a little bit worried when Clark come on, because I thought, oh, it would be typical for him to come on and then we could see. But he didn't, and he was very, very solid, won everything in the air, well positioned. Now I think he was marshalled very well by Fabian Schar, but yeah, he seen the game out and got us the 3 points and the clean sheet. So 7.5 for me. You know, I've been massively critical of Kieran Clark after the Norwich game and then the Man City game. I didn't want him putting on the shirt again, if I'm honest with you. But you know, I'm always quite happy to be proven wrong, and I was certainly proven wrong yesterday because he came on and did very, very well. So fair play to him.
Yeah, absolutely. But I still want him away, but that's my opinion. Yeah. Back as well. So I take Carlos when he's available. Just got one for comment to Eddie Howe. I mean, Ginger said that we're not after Zapata. That's from Keith Downing as not a radar or not a target. He's saying that's only coming from Italy and Colombia as well. So I don't know what you make of that.
Well, interestingly enough, and for those of you that sort of don't follow Loaded HQ, we had a show, the Fully Loaded Transfer Show on Thursday with Keith Downey. Keith Downey came and joined us on the show. A fantastic show. We talked about lots of transfers, and with regards to the Atalanta guys, he did mention that there were certain interests in them. I think there was more interest in the likes of Guzan, Robin Guzan, the left wing back, and Zapata. There was a little bit of interest from his, but he was honest in saying that, you know, he wasn't aware of things. There might be other journalists that know more about that those type of players than he would. So, and I know there's been other journalists that have been saying a little bit different. Respectable journalists that have said that we are looking at getting the deal done for him. So I wouldn't necessarily say that it's not a player that we're looking at. It's just that he might not be a player that Keith Downey's necessarily covering right now. Keith Downey might be fully focused on the Jesse Lingard deal, for example. So it might not be one that he's aware of at this point in time. If you didn't check out that show, check it out, because I think it's a good watch, and there's some interesting conversations about one or two players that we are actually linked with at the moment.
Yeah, we keep your eyes open for that sort of thing. It's going to be a mad week. It's going to be a mad week as well, and a mad day on transfer deadline day. So keep your eye peeled for that. And on to Eddie Howe.
Eddie Howe, I thought he got his tactics absolutely spot on today. Yes, I say today. I keep thinking like it was today. Feels like it was on Saturday, yesterday. I would give him a 9. I think his team selection was spot on. His formation was spot on. And his substitutions at the time were spot on. All 3 of the subs were forced, but the players that he brought on were the right players that he brought on at that particular time. We just talked about the Manquillo sub, where he could have brought Jamal Lewis on. He brought Manquillo on. Manquillo was fantastic. Clark came on and did a great job. He could have gone with Hendricks and brought him on instead, but he brought Longstaff on. Again, a great decision to do that as well. Just made the right subs at the right time with the right tactics. I just thought it was really well put together. So yeah, definitely give him a 9 for that. Fantastic.
Yeah, I'll go along with that as well. The line's got a 9 out of 10 for me. And the last one, the fans.
I don't even need to say it. The fans are 10 out of 10 every single week. And look, you're lucky enough, John, and I'm lucky enough to be in the stadiums, whether it's at St James's Park or away games, week in, week out. And it's unfortunately I wasn't able to be there yesterday, but just watching the game live and seeing the fans and hearing the fans, there's no better fans in this country. There's no other fan in this country, in the predicament that we've been in the last 14 years, that would, 1, support the team like we've supported the team, that 2, would sell out home and away games on a weekly basis, and 3, still support the club the way we have done in the situation that we're in. Up until yesterday, we were 19th in the league, but yet the way we support the team is as if we're challenging for the title. There's just no better fans in this country at all. We are the best by a country mile, nobody's going to change my mind on that.
World class fans, and we're going to get our rewards at the end of the day in a couple of years' time. Hope we get a trophy sort of thing. So we see whether we win a trophy or not. We'll be, fingers crossed, be celebrating. So that's all the player ratings there. I'm going to read this comments out very quickly but everything game for a wrap up. And McCree and Share, fantastic performance, lads. That's for Wendy. And Zapata will be a superb signing, 110%. Ginger, brilliant, every player in the world, from every paper in the world. I think on Steve Nixon knows, as he's doing all the transfers, as Howe said, he's not anything to do with them. Wow. I've got Eddie's answer all his questions. Doubt yesterday. I've got Wendy looking forward to Everton game. Gives our players a bit of time to get together with our hand. Yeah. I'll give you spot on 100%. Every other club would. That's from Wendy again. Toon fans are creators. Also first fans to wear replica shirts at matches. And Tiger Studios, big up to you, mate. Best fans in the world ever seen, 100% there, mate. Every other club would love to have a fan base like ours, John. Wendy, you get no arguments from me, pet, at all whatsoever. Did Joe Litton, Jonathan Paul Dummett to travel to Saudis today? I wonder if I'm sure they did. I know Callum Wilson did.
I wasn't sure about that because I didn't know if Callum Wilson would. But if Callum Wilson did, then I'm sure the others did, unless their injuries are really bad to the point where they couldn't travel. Which who knows? But I imagine at the very least that Lascelles would have gone as the captain. I don't see any reason why not.
Yeah. And just missed 2 comments there quickly. I'll finish your goal as well. I was kind of hoping that Rafa would be in charge for the Everton game, but that's not going to happen. I don't want him at Newcastle. I love him, but we've moved on from him, in my opinion. Should our players wear crash helmets on Everton game? Look what happened yesterday when Lucas Digne got hit by bottles yesterday by the fans. So I think that's disgraceful. I really hope we do get the chief exec and director of football next month in summer. Big for us, and I want Nixon out of the club. He was Rafa's puppet and really not a scout. Just quick on the Everton game. I mean, that's going to be the 8th of February. I'll be doing the watch along for that game as well because I cannot go to that game. That's the game we need to win. And let's be real. I think we should beat Everton because this is a poor Everton team.
Yeah, no reason why we can't beat them. And even with this current team, there's no reason why we can't go and beat Everton at St James's Park. But if we strengthen with the players that we've potentially been linked with, we could go out there and really put the sword to them, and I hope we do. There's no better motivation that if we win that game, we go 1 point behind Everton, who a week or so ago were thought to be out of our reach. We win against them. We go a point behind them, and we'll still have the quick turnaround of us going to play them at their place as well. So, look, Everton are in a difficult position at the moment, and let's exploit that and take advantage of it and get those 3 points.
Absolutely. I fancy us beating Everton, by the way, with the squad we've got. I think we've got a proper defence now. Trippier has needed again. Shear's back to his best. Also, we need a new defender coming in. We need a left back will be fine. We definitely need a striker, Pete, 100%. I hope it's a Pata or another. And yeah, let's hope that we get the players coming in, because I'll tell you what, it'll lift the crowd, number one. And secondly, we've got a great chance of beating this team.
What was that? Sorry, I missed that.
Yeah. I was saying we need players coming in, right? That's we get the players coming in, like another striker coming in, right? A new defender, and hopefully a midfielder before the Everton game, and that will give us fans a lift to boost the new players coming in against Everton.
Everyone will be buzzing coming into St James's Park that day. The fans will be up for it as always, and there's no better feeling than having that sort of new player bounce, a new player coming into the team. And if we do get a striker in, which I hope we do, and everyone will be willing them on to get their first goal for the club. It would just be just even more a positive already. It would just give us even more belief that we can go and beat Everton. And Everton are going to be worried if we come in with 3 or 4 new players, and we come into that game with 2 new centre backs, with another striker and potentially a midfielder, and maybe even a left back. Like, we're coming in with a completely different team that they were expecting to be playing against. If, for example, they were planning for our game today, it would be very, very different to that in 2.5 weeks' time. So I'm excited by it. I'm excited, and I think it would give us even more of a reason to win the game.
Absolutely. Do you know what? I'm just confident now we win this game. And I think in my opinion, we'll probably beat them by, I think it'll be 1-0 to us. It's going to be scrappy. I think it's going to be nervy, but I think we'll beat them by a goal and 0 coming into the game, with new players or not. I mean, do you think same scoreline, Pete?
Yeah, I would take that, definitely. But I think if we get a striker in and maybe an attacking midfielder in, there's no reason why we can't do what we haven't been doing recently and actually put teams to the sword and maybe get the second goal to kill teams off. So go 1-0 up and then get the second goal to go 2-0 up, because that's one thing we haven't been able to do. But I think that's where we're a striker and maybe a midfielder, attacking midfielder away from being able to do that. So a 1-0 would be a great result as long as we get those 3 points. I don't really care how we get there, to be fair.
Oh yes. You see what happens there. I mean, I can't wait. We wrap this up for these 4 comments. I so just every Prem team, as a Watford fan, we need stability. Changing a manager isn't going to get stability at all, because I think Ranieri, I think he's done at Watford. He's done at Watford. I see you laughing, Pete. That's enjoyed it too. Sometimes I read all your comments there, unfortunately, people. I got so many, and so Pete, why ain't you looking at wingers? Saying it's the only one who can take on people. That's from Ginger.
Well, I mean, look, if we get someone like Jesse Lingard in, Jesse Lingard can play off the wing. He can play right, left wing, through the middle as an attacking midfielder. So there is someone that can take on players and get balls into the box. Dele Alli can play off the wing as well, although he's more suited to playing just behind the striker. So if we get any of those players, they are players that will give us an alternative option. So I won't worry too much. But let's see how this next week and a bit goes, because I think there's going to be one or two surprises, as well as one or two players that might start getting linked and potentially come in that we've not even talked about this month.
I see a big star's going to come to Newcastle. One big star's going to come. It's going to be a shock. I mean, nighttime game at St James's, everything's going to be done. Everything, guys, do you think we'll sign the last few deals of the window when it traditionally gets mental? And that's from Paul.
It's hard to say who we're going to sign later on, because as we get towards the end of the window, players that weren't available initially start to then become available. So it's hard to pinpoint a name on somebody. But look, I would say the Dele Alli, the Jesse Lingard will ramble on. I think that the Carlos deal is there to be had. Let's talk about his representatives being in Spain to try and convince Seville to sell. I keep reiterating that I don't think the Sven Botman deal is dead either. I think there's still maybe another bid to be had in there in another week. Whether that happens or not, I don't know, but I still believe there's a deal to be done there, personally. So I'm going to keep remaining hopeful that deal can get done.
Yeah. Good for you, man. Listen, going to wrap up there, Pete, and being for an hour and a half, and I know you got things to do. And before I let you crack on, right, I mean, did you enjoy coming on Be Sure today?
Absolutely spot on. Look, John, we've known each other for a while now, and we talk on social media and DMs and stuff, and I massively appreciate the work that you do. And I say I can't just say I say everyone, all the boys at Loaded, Daz, Mort, Rich, Chris, all of us appreciate the work that you guys that you're doing on your channel, the guests that you've had, the shows that you're doing. You've got a fantastic subscription number that's ever growing. Anyone in the channel, in the chat tonight, if you haven't subscribed, click that subscribe button for sure. And it's just great to chat to you, John, because you're a good guy. I remember we talked way back in 2020 in the summer. It was on Clinton's show, Geordie's Down South. You popped on for one of the shows, and that was the first time we kind of properly sort of spoke face to face. And look, you're a great guy. Always a pleasure to come on your show. More importantly, John, thank you for having me to come on and chat football with you, because you know I just love talking about Newcastle. So the fact that I've been able to come on with you and chat about the club with the great guys and girls in the chat, spot on, mate.
Thank you very much indeed. I really appreciate coming on Be Sure as well. And honestly, man, we've got to do it many times, man. Because I think you're a great guy as well. You got passion. You talk a lot of sense. You on it as well. We watch you on NUSC Matters, Lord HQ, and you speak sense all the time. He just says it out like it is. And Ashley, where do you actually find you? Have you told the people where you can find you, Pete, on your channel?
Yeah, so Loaded HQ on YouTube. We've only been going sort of like as a channel for 9 months now, but we're working our way up to sort of 3,000 subscribers. Lots of guests, lots of content coming up. So if you haven't checked out the channel, click Loaded HQ, give us a sub, give us a watch. Lots to come this week, and also on UFC Matters as well. Myself and Chris, we run on a Monday the Fans Forum. So tomorrow night at 7 o'clock, we'll be back with the Fans Forum. We'll be giving a bit of a remembrance to Chris A, who passed away last weekend, unfortunately. So we'll be saying a little bit about Chris on there, because he was a regular on the Fans Forum. That's where you can find us. Find me on Twitter, as Twitter handles on there, at Dave's 2010. Mostly talking about Newcastle and anything Newcastle. That's where you'll find me for any sort of Newcastle bits of information.
Fantastic. Go and give them a watch on Loaded HQ and NSC Matters. Loaded HQ is a fantastic channel, people. And you know what it is, right? They talk sense. And also, my condolences goes out to Chris as well. I do apologize about the news. And my condolences goes out to Chris's family, loved ones as well. So rest in peace, Chris. And it's so sad. It's been a poor year last year, and it's only January, and this happens, you know what I mean? And I'm so sorry to hear that, Pete. And he sounds a great guy, and he sounds funny as well. And he'll be a big miss around socials and around the close people like us as well. So rest in peace, Chris. And just one more comment as well, quickly. Big up John, my guy. We saved questions for 6 p.m. tonight. I'll be on her channel in about 20 minutes time. And read the last from Jim. Great show, John and Pete. Thanks a lot. And Kieran, appreciate that. And last but not least, John is amazing, has a great smile. Thanks so much indeed. And about that tweet message just sent from Civil and Rome, pick them up, send them to the Saudis. Just a couple more. Loaded HQ, another great channel. Big up to you, Sean, mate. Listen to Dave and Chris. Nice words, Shira. And see you at 6 p.m. for the transfer show now. Listen, Peter, thank you very much for coming on, Pete. And bless you, man. And last word, there's a kind one for Stu. There you go. Thanks a lot for coming on, Pete. Take care.
No problem. You take care.
You too, boss. See you later.